Here on this side. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. I don't know if you know, but I'm Jimmy Francis, and I'm running for Dakota County Commissioner, District 2. The next commissioner. Thank you, really, for being here. Thank you to the Metsons and the Licks and the Francises and the Beldies and the who else? The McMorrows for hosting us here tonight. These are South St. Paul people. Appreciate the support that I get from my hometown, and I appreciate all of you guys being here. Many of you can't vote for me, but that's okay. You're good supporters and donating, so we won't get into stump speeches. And the whole idea of tonight is actually just to have some fun and actually not talk about politics, because who wants to talk about politics? Yeah, Kevin, there's only one of this whole group that wants to do it. So, thank you for coming, thank you for donating, thank you for supporting my campaign. If you have questions or you don't know what I stand for, or you want to know what I stand for more, please call me. Hi Todd, thanks for coming. It's Jeff, my friend Jeffrey's here, everybody. Say hi to Jeffrey. Jeffrey, number one supporter. Funny story, Jeffrey was on the street corner with my signs promoting Jimmy Francis. He got tired, he took a nap. Somebody called the police, and the police came to check on the dead body that was at the bench. But he was still alive. He was alive. No, Pat, there's no dead body. My undertaker here is when you say dead bodies, he wants to know about it. But Jeffrey was not dead, in fact. So, again, thanks for coming. I'm going to introduce to our moderator tonight. His name is, he's also a South St. Paul resident. Some people know him. His name is Matt Mikulski, but we all know him as the Rookie. So welcome to the Rookie.
You're staying up here, right? Yeah, I hope so. The star of the show should always be up here. All right, I am a South St. Paul resident for the past 7 years. Actually, here, due to the fact that my property taxes were about 1/3 of what they were in St. Paul. So you had nothing to do with that, but I'm sure you'll take credit for it. Sure.
Let's hear it for Francis.
Background on me, because I'm going to introduce everybody here. In fact, I'll start with you, Phil. Everybody here already knows who Phil is. South St. Paul Packer, try not to hold that against him as a Cretan guy, and as a visitation parent of the girls hockey, where they kind of a couple times my gals beat up on that South St. Paul girls hockey team, which was always the most fun game of the year. Playing those South St. Paul Packers on the girls' side, because my son didn't play in high school, but that was always fun. Great pride. Packer pride is legit, and you're part of that. So appreciate that, and a tip of the cap to South St. Paul. Went on to a wonderful NHL career. More importantly, when you see Phil at events, when you're a superstar, when you're an athlete, I've seen a lot of athletes, a lot of news anchors, a lot of radio guys and gals. I will compliment Phil. Phil's really good to the help. When you're behind the scenes and you see how people act, you get a true feeling for what they're like at events, just similar to this. And you're a class guy. It was 100. I see a couple singles in there. It was 100. So it was. No, class act all the way. NHL, everything. Did you have to wear the flyer breezers? Were you?
We were trendsetters in South St. Paul.
Wow, remember those horrible pants they wore?
We wore the Cooperalls in the 1981 state tournament, and we started it. Then Philly said, "Geez, those look great."
All right. Well, please, you didn't wear them tonight, right? Okay, we're good. And ladies and gentlemen, Mr. South St. Paul's own Mr. Phil Housley. Sitting to the left of Mr. Housley is a gentleman that I've known pretty much my entire life. Our families went to the same grade school, high school, lived in the same neighborhood. He is a really weird individual, but once you get to know him, you know he's even more bizarre than that. No, he is a savant. I would say a savant, a radio savant. And now podcast savant, correct?
Podcast, part is right.
He will go down to Kentucky and see a guy playing a banjo on his front porch and go sit on the porch and talk to the guy. And as you're listening to the podcast, you're saying, please don't go in the house, please don't go in the house, please don't go in the house. And then Mischke, hey, what's in your basement? And you're pounding on the glass going, oh my God, is he crazy? And yes, he is crazy, but he is a wonderful individual. And he can claim Cretan High School because he made it through 1 year, correct? So then you are an alum. But unfortunately, sophomore year, when he went up to the military office, knocked on the door opens, smoke is billowing out of the colonel's office, and Tommy unfortunately asked to see Colonel Klink, and was promptly escorted out of the building in the next several days after forgetting this is not Hogan's Heroes, but that was probably the final nail in the coffin, I think. There were some other things, but that was the final nail.
Yeah, there were a lot of other things. Is this thing working?
There you go.
Yeah, there were a lot of other things. There was an angry German teacher there named Herr Stoltman, and we actually got in a physical altercation freshman year. It's not a good education environment when the students and teachers are physically grappling and falling to the floor. That was an afternoon at Cretan. I went to Cretan during its nadir. I think it's fair to say 1979, 80, 81. That school probably should have closed.
And you did your best to help that out, right? Correct?
Well, I couldn't believe when I arrived there that we really were going to play Army. I didn't know that we were really going to have that be a real thing, but it was. I couldn't salute people at 14. Are you kidding me? Shining shoes Monday morning? No, the whole thing didn't work at all for me. I just went there because all my buddies were, but yeah, it all went to hell pretty quickly.
It did, and I don't think they have any scholarship awards in your name currently.
No, but I will say when the women arrived later on, they cleaned up that operation. It's a much better school today. When I was there, it was primarily alcoholics and pedophiles. Sorry,
Somebody
folks.
typing this thing out. We'll just edit that one out.
Hey, it's not a South St. Paul school. I can say anything I want here. I only got to watch it in 55105.
That's true. Well, I can say that my youngest son, the child number 4, Gabriel, is a senior at CDH and thoroughly enjoys it. So it's they cleaned it up a little bit.
Yeah,
Frank Miley's done a pretty good job.
Yeah, good man.
Yeah, another St. Paul guy. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you, and the podcast is called?
My podcast is called The Mischke Road Show.
The Mischke Road Show, and he goes everywhere. It is interesting to listen to, and sometimes you just are shouting.
Can I just mention, by the way, that Jimmy is on a couple of them? But not as Jimmy. Not as Jimmy.
Okay, he's in character somehow.
He is a older man.
I love that older man.
I don't know how many people know.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Know the alter ego.
He knows great jokes.
Do people know about your alter ego?
Carl.
Carlo.
Do you guys know Carl?
Carl Franklin. Yeah, so you guys don't know this, but I only knew him for years as an old Iowa farmer. He used to call my radio show, and he would be in character, and I didn't know he wasn't real. I actually loved this old farmer who would call me. In fact, my father had passed away a few years earlier, and he had become kind of a surrogate dad to me. I actually thought this guy was an important part of my life, until one day in the KSTP hallways, someone pulled me aside and said, "You see that dorky guy walking down the hallway right there? That's your Carl." Get the hell out of here. No, that he does the voice. He's been snowing you for a long time. And boy, it took me a long time, Jimmy, to get over that. In fact, I was so upset about that. Even today, I thought of torpedoing this entire map. I called Shelby and I said, we could clear this joint if you recite your Shakespeare. He's got a bunch of Shakespeare he can do, and I'll do 112 stanzas of Allen Ginsberg's Howl, his poem Howl, and we'll get even with Mr. Carl Franklin here, a.k.a. Jimmy Francis. my surrogate father. I mean, I already had one dad die, and then my mom remarried and that died. I've had 3 dads die, and you're responsible for one of them. So, without further ado, 112 stanzas of Allen Ginsberg's Howard.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr.
I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness.
You gotta be out of here by 8, by the way.
Starving, hysterical, naked, angel-headed hipsters burning from the ancient heavenly connection to the starry dynamo and the machinery of
Tom
night.
History, ladies and gentlemen.
Now Shelby and Shakespeare. I'm not kidding, he's doing Shakespeare next.
That may have been the longest introduction I've ever had. I will tell you this, and even though Tommy is physically here, when I promoted this event on Facebook, I think I said, well, go ahead, because this is the first thing you said.
Yeah.
Hey, Rook, how's the family? You said,
When I arrived, I pulled in a little early tonight, and I looked on Facebook, and there was Rookie announcing that it was Phil, Don, Joe, and him tonight, the big stars. That was it. So I forget getting even with you. I got to square with you.
right away. It took him 10 seconds. And he's not kidding either. I'm sure I've got 4 flat tires out there right now. Normally he's not that egotistical, but he chose tonight to come out.
It hurt. It hurt.
I know it hurt. I know it.
I'm a human being.
Love me like a father, okay? Just don't kill me off. Just don't kill me off. All right, sitting to Mr. Mischke's left is a wonderful human being that had a fantastic career in broadcasting, I should say, not only television, but he also had a radio show that his wife never listened to because she always listened to Garage Logic. That's verified, correct? Thank you for that, Mr. Skilroot. He is a great guy now, enjoying retirement, or semi-retirement. What are you doing now? Before we get your official introduction.
13 boards. 13 charity boards.
Oh, wow. Are you getting a stipend for a couple of minutes?
No, it costs me money to volunteer.
Okay. Can we make it 14 and I can have you on the second Stork board that I started in 2008 of the charity? I will talk to you after the show. We need you too.
Okay.
Make it an even
I have
14.
to quit one, and
That's
the
right.
representative of the Science Museum of Minnesota is here. And
You're going to be really sad.
that's the one we have to quit to join the second Stork. Well, I'm sorry.
We might have to find another. We might have to find another. Second Stork is downtown St. Paul too, right at the right by the Red Cross.
Gotcha.
I'm just teasing.
Gotcha.
13 boards keeps you extremely busy.
Yes.
He had a wonderful career in television, and then of course radio over at CCO. And I don't even think you're retired if you're doing that much board work. But ladies and gentlemen, an incredibly nice guy, wonderful human being, Mr. Don Shelby.
Thank you. He which hath no stomach to this fight, let him depart, his passport shall be made, and coins for convoy put into his purse. We would not die in that man's company that fears his fellowship to die with us. This day is called the Feast of Crispian. He that shall outlive this day and come safe home will stand tiptoe when this day is named and round.
Wow. Okay. All that, and he didn't have a teleprompter. Pretty darn good, huh? All right, thank you, Mr. Shelby. Sitting to his left is the chair of honor. I've known Jimmy since mid-90s when he was working at Hubbard Broadcasting. I will tell you, he had a car that had a bunch of fish painted on it. And when I was away, usually Jimmy would fill in as the producer, try to backstab me and take my job every single time. However, Joe was pretty loyal. He remained loyal to me. But I will say that when he started producing for Joe, Joe was afraid of him. Joe's not afraid of a lot of people, but he said, "Who's the guy with the fish? He scares the hell out of me." And so that is like one major. If you get him, on the run, I've always respected you for that because he didn't know half the time which way I was going to go, but he for sure never knew which way you were going to go. And that's a credit to your personality.
Steve Conrad had me one time dressed in a clown suit and wait for him in the bathroom because he hates clowns. And so I stood in the bathroom for like 20 minutes waiting for him to come for this window of time between this break and that break. He would come in and use the bathroom. And he opens the door and I'm standing there with the clown suit. You know, and he freaks out and goes, "Ah!" And he's opened the door and then I start moving. He goes, "Jesus, I thought it was a fake clown!"
It's a good thing he'd already vacated his bowels then.
Right, exactly. He's also, you know, like Fish Cart, you know, I used to call him like I called all these guys. I called Shelby too, I called Mishki, never called Phil. But
your show was pretty short-lived, wasn't it? Yeah.
But I would do all these calls to Sushere, and then one day I just made a compilation CD and I put it in this box at the office. And 3 days later or something, I remember sitting in the studio, and he comes in the door and he opens the door and he throws the CD at me and he goes, "You're fucking nuts." And he left. He went back to his studio, you know, back to the thing, and I was like, well, is that good or bad? I don't know. I don't know what to do.
It's good and bad. It was good and bad. So then Jimmy was a staple at, everybody knew him at Hubbard Broadcasting. Then you left, I'm not sure what you went to do. You had something else going on. And
there was a couple radio stations in Iowa, Tama, Iowa, and Ludington, Michigan.
Okay, then you came back and you started to sell insurance.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I was the 45 mascot for a long time, too. Channel 45.
You had to put the hot suit
I
on?
put the hot suit on. Yeah, it was good.
What did really
I'll tell you what you don't want to do on Channel 45. You don't want to call them up and ask them who wrote the jingle 45. I got fired for that. I got fired for that. That was what I officially got fired for. I called the front desk and asked, who wrote that song? 45.
You talked to Sharon.
That was it. I was done. They said, you can't call the front desk and put them on the air without first getting their permission to be put on the air. Okay. 17 years of radio shot right then and there. And I still haven't gotten an answer to who wrote the damn song.
I'll try to find out for you on Monday. But I think the McDonald's thing may have had something to do with that too.
That's the unofficial story. That's the unofficial story.
McDonald's a major sponsor of the show. I don't remember what you said.
Well, McDonald's was starting a campaign where they were bringing mothers to the factory to show how they made the food so that they feel better about feeding their kids that crap. And
that's why. Now
I couldn't believe that they thought this would be a big sell. Oh, now it's nutritious. I didn't realize how you were making it. And what I didn't realize is they were in the middle of a negotiation, $250,000 negotiation with the Twins and McDonald's. We had just gotten the Twins to have them sponsor the Talk Box downtown. And the regional director called and said, we just listened to Mishki, and I don't know if this contract's going to fly. Well, it flew right after they fired me, I'll tell you that.
Yes. Not that there's a continuing trend here with Tommy and advertisers, but do you remember, what was his name? Who was the head coach? No, it was Tires. It was at Tires Plus. Tom Gigax, head coach, Tires Plus University. So Tommy comes on the air one night and is like, Tires Plus University. I wonder what the campus looks like. Is there rolling greens, rolling hills? Is there, iron gates? What does the head coach do? And that went on for, I don't know if that was a week or whatever it was, and then kind of a little tap on the shoulder saying, Tom's not real happy with the, and that only, gave him more gasoline for the fire to say, I don't care, let's just keep going.
Well, the guys who were really ticked off was Sedation Dentistry, because they do the ads during my show, and I'd come back going, now wait a minute, what are they doing to you when you're out? You wake up and a thing's unbuttoned that wasn't unbuttoned before.
I think it was your pants are on backwards that might have been the camel.
$40,000 lawsuit. We had to give them $40,000 in free advertising because I make a little line like that.
I mean, if that's your industry, how can you follow that? So anyway, this is all during your introduction here. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason we're here tonight, currently Mayor of South St. Paul, future Dakota County Commissioner, Mr. Jimmy Francis.